for all those who laid their lives in one of the most hated violence in Kandhamal. Some of them had lost their lives for their faith, while others lost their lives due to hatred. However, as Christians, we are called upon to pray for both the groups, and therefore we stand in silence and offer our tribute to the departed souls. Thanks, everyone. You may sit down. Now, I would like to call upon our distinguished guest, Reverend Sudhakar Pawarji, and Ma'am Angela, if you can just present a bouquet and welcome Reverend Sudhakar Pawarji. Reverend Sudhakar Pawar is one of those great heroes who has been all the time in Kandhamal, and I am told Reverend Sudhakar has also contributed a lot in building of the houses of the people in Kandhamal. So, sir, we welcome you. Okay. Next in the line of our welcome list is our Dr. John Dayal. We all are well familiar with our veteran journalist, and he happens to be my mentor also. So, sir, please come. Ma'am Anne, if you can just welcome Dr. John with a bouquet. Yes, yes. You want to? I will take you. Thank you, Anne. Thank you, Anne. Then we have our own protagonist, the hero, journalist, the crusader for Kandhamal, and because of whom we are today here. And he is none other than Anto Akkara. So we welcome Mr. Anto Akkara, and I will present a bouquet to welcome him. My sincere apology for going not in the proper order. So now I welcome Madam Annie Raja, women activist and General Secretary of National Federation of Indian Women. Madam Annie Raja. Ma'am Angela, if you don't mind, can you just welcome again with a bouquet? Madam Angela. Is Father Jarvis? Father Jarvis is not there? Father Jarvis. Dear friends, that is the welcome. And now I call upon Mr. Sudhakar Pawar to speak for a few minutes.
Thank you for everything, and really I'm thankful to God Almighty who has given me this opportunity. I worked Kandhamal almost 20 years when I was a national director in EFI, and I'm really blessed by CBCI and all the people all here. Especially, I traveled with Dr. John Dayal Temina when Kandhamal was burning. We entered there. And in my organization, there is no money for relief work. It was God who created everything. When I came back with Temina and Dr. John Dayal, I tell everything about Dr. Richard Howell, and he said, Sudhakar, we are not a relief agency. EFI is working for pastor conference meeting and all. I said, whatever, God can do wonders. He said, raise some fund from our office. So within 15 minutes, I goes to all my staff, how much you will give me commitment, not right now. So they have given commitment for 16,000 rupees. Even my peon, who was Hindu, I didn't ask, why should I ask to this peon? He came, he said, sir, आपने मुझसे क्यों नहीं पूछा? हमें मालूम आप किसी अच्छे चीज़ के लिए कर रहे हैं. I will also give 500 rupees. Then I collect this 16,000 rupees. All the long story cut short, I'm telling. We send this money to our secretary, Smita Parmanik, and she been inside the camp when people were in a tent. Then we prayed every day. Then I said, Reverend Howell, I'm not satisfied with this 16,000. ये तो ऊँट के मुंह में एक जीरे के समान है. So what we'll do? He said, pray. We send, that time, we are sending every time AIM magazine. We send a request letter for raising a fund for Kandhamal. And you won't believe, within 15 days when the magazine reaches their home, we collect more than 1 crore money within India. And it was shower of blessing. Every day so much checks comes in my office. My accountant said, I cannot fill the form for putting a money in a bank. Then we help them. Then we wrote a project proposal. We sent different country. People came. We get crores of rupees, even not from abroad, but from government side also. We filed a court case. We spent 13 lakh for advocacy project through Temina. That time she was working with EFI. And we get crores of rupees directly from government. They are not giving to us. They directly send to beneficiary. And we achieve much. We build 570 houses over there for all Christian community. And sometime we used to go and stayed in a bishop house in Bhubaneswar, and stay or sometime in a jungle. But God did so much for this project. So my heart is always thinking for Kandhamal. But 2019, I've been in Canada for some project work in St. Xavier University. I came back. Then this new college came up, Caleb Institute. Reverend Howell said, why don't you come here, because you've done a lot. And then I joined 2019 to Caleb as an education director. And I don't know what happened, but my news and my video goes to UN. And somebody called me. And he said, we want to give you an award. I said, what award? I have not connected with UN. So they called me, they took my interview. In 2015, they gave me a President Award in Islamic Center. So that was a big picture for me. And I am always thinking, I'm nothing, I'm zero. But God wants to make hero. If we are passionate for poor people, God always make a big thing for us. And I'm so happy. Last 2 years before, though I was not working with EF, I am working with Caleb. I've been for my research study. I have seen, my God, those are poor pastors, poor villagers. They have a 5 lakh, 6 lakh rupees in their account, because we have started 2,000 self-help group over there. And now they are running their own business, they have their own account. Even middle class people are getting money from this self-help group people. So I did a documentary, I already sent Brother Anto, my previous documentary and the present 2 years before. So I'm thankful to God. We did a hard work, but God shown the result. And God is still working. Now the Kandhamal looks very beautiful resort kind of thing. And government opened one resort where only the Christian self-help group ladies are working. And that resort is such a beautiful, it is in my second research documentary. So I'm so blessed working in a Kandhamal, but still there is an enormous need in Kandhamal. So we can pray, we can contribute, and we can do more work for Kandhamal for the God glory. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mr. Sudhakar. Now, may I call upon Dr. John Dayal to say a few words, please.
It is not fair. He said so many words, and you asked me to say only a few words. But I stand in the diocesan hall of the Archdiocese of Delhi to praise our dead bishop. His name is and was Raphael Chinath. If there is any justice that has taken place in Kandhamal, it is thanks to Raphael Chinath. If the church has learned to approach the Supreme Court for justice and not just for Article 30 relief for educational institutions, it is Raphael Chinath. I say that for the following, but before that, two things. I congratulate Anto and Father Ajay Kumar Singh, the real hero of Kandhamal, is not here. He was born in Kandhamal and damn nearly got killed. The nun who was raped was his assistant in his office. I left him in another meeting of social activists. He should come, or maybe he won't come. The three of us, in a way, have been involved with Kandhamal for a long time. Father Ajay and I, from Christmas Eve of 2007, 8 months before the violence of 2008, which brought Anto first to Kandhamal. Ajay's village was where the trouble started. And there it brewed and it brewed and it brewed till it burst on 23rd of August 2008, leading to what still is, despite Manipur, the biggest tragedy to visit the Christian community since the infamous Tipu Sultan's march of the coastal Catholics from Mangalore to Srirangapatnam, when he captured 80,000 and 60,000 died on the way. Only 125 died in Kandhamal, but 60,000 could have died. They were saved because they ran to the forest, which was 25 yards away from their houses. And there they stayed till the CRPF came and took them to the refugee camps, where they stayed for a year. And then we could see both the good and the bad that government relief camps do. The CRPF soldiers started human trafficking in a way. But the good things first. Anto is a hero for his coverage of the 7 people who were arrested for the death of Swami Lakshmanand Saraswati, one of the most miserable political blacklisters I've met in my long and undistinguished career in journalism. He and 8 other people, the others were MSc Physics. He was a semi-literate. They were planted across the country by the RSS in tribal areas to galvanize them, to indoctrinate them, to radicalize them against Catholic presence. They would plant a school in front of a Catholic school. They would plant a health camp, if possible, in front of a health camp. And that was the pattern which led to violence in the Danks district of Gujarat on Christmas Eve, 1998. I went there as a representative of the CBCI that evening. That was the first instance, Danks as a laboratory against Christians by the RSS. 36 churches were burnt in 36 hours. No human beings were burnt, but the nuns' convent was stoned. Much damage was done, much fear was sown, which was the basic objective. And researchers who went there discovered literature which said, Aaj Isai, Kal Kasai. Today the Christians, tomorrow the Muslims. And the tomorrow came in 2002 when Mr. Modi presided over one of the largest massacres of Muslims in the country. Let me come back to Kandhamal and to Rafael Chinath. The violence took place, all the damage. My small role was typing FIRs, and we typed out 6,000 or 4,000 FIRs. If the relief that came to Kandhamal were to be totaled up, each victim should be a millionaire. But the relief initially came in a haphazard manner, any donor sending any money. So one house would get 20 blankets and the other house would shiver. Construction is the relief that government, religious societies and the church delight in because it's money and you can see the concrete. In between is unfortunately a lot of corruption again. But the church, thanks to Raphael, who divided the disturbed district into regions which were given to each church so they were not duplicating work, but could construct. I'm narrating and taking a minute because there's a parallel that we have to practice in Manipur now, where the mistakes are being committed, but the good things are not being followed. But Raphael's major going to the Supreme Court with Colin Gonsalves and filing a series of writs. The first writ was against the collector who had said Christian aid would not be sent to Kandhamal because you will give it only to the Christians and that will make the Hindus angry. The Supreme Court said, open the roads so that aid can go to those who have suffered and it will go to all. That was the first relief. Later we have been to the Supreme Court several times, getting enhanced government relief for those. First the Prime Minister would not give, then the Prime Minister gave, the Chief Minister would not give, the Chief Minister gave. Ultimately we got another 2,000 rupees or 20,000 rupees each per person. And that was the relief which was there. The folly was that still people were left without houses because the villages would not accept them. The government has created a colony which is safe from attack, but one of the most inhuman colonies I've seen. It's called Shantinagar. It's very peaceful. The nearest job is 20 kilometers away. The nearest school is 30 kilometers away. This is the sort of relief that government gives when you ask a collector to do something. And I think the church should then have intervened. But in Manipur, where again 60,000 people have to be relocated and they can't go back to where they will or from where they're fled because that areas are surrounded by hostile people. Where will you place them? How will you create jobs? Are issues that we have to discover. The third and the last point was girls in class 10 and 12 whose life was disturbed, who went to refugee camps, have dropped out. what would they do? They've dropped out of the school system. Education is disturbed in a very bad manner for girls who are 16 and 18. The boys can lose a year, the girls can't. The trauma counseling, Jesuit fathers are sitting here. The Jesuits did, the Gabriel brothers did a tremendous amount of work of trauma counseling to victims of Kandhamal. And I think that again, we would have to see how to do it in Manipur. So thank you, Anto. Thank you, Anto, for making this film and for your continuous pursuit in the last 13 years to keep the church involved, get all sorts of bishops to relaunch all sorts of books that you translate. It keeps the church alive on the issues. I must warn you, these people have been released on bail. The cases have not been cancelled. When the judge gave a judgment sentencing them to life, he said, the witness against them, a girl aged 13, she is a student of Sanskrit. She's a Brahmin. And Brahmin students of Sanskrit will never lie. And their memory is very sharp. He wrote that in his judgment. And we thought any high court judge who would read this judgment would throw out the damn case. It has not happened. These people, poor people, are out on bail and they must be released eventually. And I hope the work that Anto does will see that the cases are discharged and that they are released. Thank you once again, Anto, and congratulations to you and to the work that you do.
Thank you, sir, for enlightening us. I know sir is always there for us to give us in-depth study of on any subject. So we are grateful to you, sir, and we really appreciate your inputs. Now, may I invite Mr. Anto Akkara. Well, most of us have read about his books, and those who have not read his books, for your kind information, he is one of the authors who has stirred the national conscience with his investigative book called Kandhamal, a blot on the Indian secularism. He also written A Shining Faith in Kandhamal, then Early Christians of 21st Century, which is still available outside the gate. You can purchase them. Then he has also received a prestigious award, Blessed Titus Brandsma Award for Journalism in 2013. And with his investigative book, Who Killed Lakshmanan, released in May 2016, the author exposed the Hindu nationalist fraud and political conspiracy behind Kandhamal. And he continues to work tirelessly for the people of Kandhamal through his writings, through his documentaries. And I'm just told the 5th documentary has just crossed, which was released 4 months back, has crossed 2 lakhs viewership. And that's a great achievement for Mr. Anto. Now may I call upon Mr. Anto to give his views and then to launch the documentary for which we are waiting for a long time.
Good evening, everybody. Thank you for coming. I know some of you had a tough time reaching in the rain, and several people have missed. Even Bishop Mondal was supposed to chair this meeting. He was not able to make. He's stuck in the traffic. There are many others. Anyway, thank you, those who have come. This is a special day, you know. This is Kandhamal's 15th anniversary. It was on this day, 23rd of August 2008, Kandhamal problem started because this Swami Lakshmanananda Saraswati, 81-year-old man, was shot dead in his ashram on Janmashtami night. I'm not going into the politics of it. Of course, I have written it very extensively, proved who is behind all those things. That is not what you are discussing. We are releasing a documentary called The Good News of Kandhamal, because there was a systematic attack on Christians. 100 Christians, they became martyrs. It's not like any communal carnage in Delhi or Bombay or in Gujarat. They were not killed because they were Christian. They were killed brutally. Some burnt alive, buried alive, chopped into pieces because they refused to forsake their faith. Refused to, they were given a chance to forsake their faith. You know how it all started? This Swami Lakshmanananda Saraswati, he had said something, it's very funny. And the man had to pay with his life for that. And the story is, if you see, this is what he said.
ये यूरोप राष्ट्र अमेरिका पोप और आपका सोनिया गांधी ये एरिया को स्वतंत्र खिस्तान बनाने के लिए उनका जो इरादा था भगवान ने हमको हिमालय से भेज दिया, वो रुक गए। इसीलिए स्वामी जी भगाओ या हम लोग को ईसाई तान बनाएंगे, मैं जब तक जिंदा हूँ तुमको करना नहीं दूँ।
So, because Swami said this, this is the text. Now, it's very important to know why Kandhamal happened. This, what they call 30-second clip, I got it from, I'm not going to the, what they call the politics behind it, the forces behind it, because today, it's the good news of Kandhamal, the good news is built on, founded in forgiveness. Kandhamal is witnessing something very, very special, which is nowhere in the world you have seen it. I'm presenting the documentary of the amazing nature of the Christian witness, what Christ has taught from the cross. Forgive your enemies. How the Kandhamal people have lived up to it. They are conquering the hearts of the enemies, melting their hearts. The Kandhamal has become peaceful with forgiveness. So that's why I'm not going to, but still I had to mention this. This is what the Swami said. The whole intention of Europe, US, Pope and Sonia Gandhi is to convert Kandhamal into a Christian land. I have been sent by the gods from the Himalayas to stall it. So he had done it, so meaning my life is under threat, so Swami was killed. That's why I used that earlier picture, comparative pictures. So Swami was shot dead immediately. Immediately, if it is a spontaneous killing, if the Christians had killed, how did they plan this for the whole body? The body is taken for 2 full days across Kandhamal, like that. Across Kandhamal, stopping in front of churches. It was all clearly pre-planned. I'm not going to the names and all, not because I do not know. Consequence was 100 poor illiterate, most of them illiterates, poor Christians embraced martyrdom. Embraced martyrdom. They were asked to reconvert, go for reconversion. They said no. So some were burned alive, buried alive, chopped into pieces. But so we have 100 martyrs there. These are the real. These are not morphed pictures. These are families of those people, of the martyrs' families at a gathering. Of course, I have been following it. I'll tell you how I got into this. You see this, 56,000 homeless, 56,000 homeless, 300 churches and 100 martyrs. Now, this is how I got in. As an international journalist, I've been guest of LTT, also covering South Asia. But here, I went to Kandhamal as a journalist and I got sucked into the ocean now. I'm in the Kandhamal ocean, swimming and swimming. 15 years are gone. I gone to Kandhamal 35 times in the last, say, 15 years. Because of COVID, of course, 2 years I didn't travel, absolutely no travel. Otherwise, it would have been 40 plus now. Now, what happened? This man called Rajesh Digal, I call him Saint Stephen of Kandhamal. You know the story of Saint Stephen, the first martyr who was stoned to death. This guy had gone for a meeting of, he's a pastor, young pastor, evangelical pastor, he went for a meeting of pastors in Hyderabad. He was coming back, he got down by train at Barampur, then he took a bus to Kandhamal. The bus was stopped and was told to go for reconversion because you Christians have killed the Swami, Christianity is banned. He refused, they beat him up and they said, this is your, he said, no, I will never come for the Garvapasi. So they made him stand in a pit, filled soil up to his neck and told him, this is your last chance. Are you ready? He said, no. So he was not stoned. They crushed his head with a huge rock. This is how Rajesh Digal was killed. And I happened to meet his widow called Asmita. And she narrated all this. But police refused to file an FIR in this case. Because this is what happens, in communal violence. All over the country what happened. So they didn't, and she told me this. So I was there again and again, and I went there for that Christmas 3rd time and asked the collector, why don't you acknowledge those killings? Because I knew 5 cold-blooded murders which has no FIRs filed. So the collector told me these are cooked up stories. That is what changed my life. So I said, what nonsense you are saying? People have been brutally killed and you are saying you can't file an FIR. So I took it as a challenge and wrote a small book called Kandhamal, a blot on Indian secularism. It was released as a Constitution Club in 2009. Within 6 months, made a lot of headlines, so much so, within 5 weeks, Orissa government submitted an affidavit in the Supreme Court conceding the 5 murders. So I was happy, I got 5 lakhs each for 5 families. That's all that I wanted to do as a journalist. But I tell you, the image just so that has changed my life. I'm still on it. Look at that image. These are Christians. They were in the relief camps. After 6 months, they are living in the jungle like this. Why? Because they said, you must come for reconversion. They said, no, you kill us, but we will not come for the Garvapasi. So, these Christians embraced, they were living in the jungle like this. Can you imagine? I tell you, this is one of the images that touched me. The rest I will not say now, we will have it in the documentary. So, let us proceed, and also my personal journey. There are 2 brothers standing there, the elder brother, 2 of them fought for the country in the Kargil war. The younger brother, paralyzed him, was burned alive. Rajesh Digal, paralyzed young man, was burned alive in that, you see that, I can't get it from here properly. Oh, I have to go there. Anyway, Rajesh Digal was burned alive. This is the spot, you see the bushes where he was burned alive. Then what, many things happen in life. This is the faith journey. I'm putting the faith journey of Kandhamal, the pilgrimage to Kandhamal. What happened to me? I got a fracture. Now, next image, this is my leg in 2 pieces. At a conference, I slipped and I was airlifted. I was taken to St. John's Medical College. Doctor said, your surgery is delayed. You will not, there is uneven growth and you see the angle, so you will not walk again. So, you will be on crutches and it will take a long time, but lifelong you will have a problem. So, I was made to sit and write the Kandhamal imposition. That is what made me. 8 months I couldn't move anywhere. I couldn't go anywhere. So I wrote that book called Early Christians of 21st Century. When I finished that, I wanted to go. Doctor said, you can't go, but I went. You won't believe. I went with so much of pain and swelling on the leg. When I reached that spot where Rasanand was burned alive, my leg got healed. I am absolutely normal. So I am a witness to their faith. These are the 2 brothers who fought for the country in the Kargil war, the Sanand's elder brothers. So that has been the turning point of my Kandhamal engagement. Since then, I've never felt like giving it up. It has been very, very tough because I don't ask for any funds and all that. It has been very challenging, but I never felt like giving it up. Now today I tell you, what a happy day. Today is the 15th anniversary of Kandhamal. I bought some 6 documentaries already from first the political one called The Innocents in Prison. And then came the faith documentaries from COVID times. Today, the 5th one, the right hand of God over Kandhamal crossed 2 lakh mark. Today, on the 15th anniversary of Kandhamal, on the day the good news of Kandhamal is being premiered. So this is Kandhamal is a faith journey because I am accompanying a voiceless people. Now let's just give a little bit of the 7 innocents that the Alji was mentioning. See, as soon as Swami was killed, some Christians were picked up and dumped in the police station. Police didn't arrest anyone. And then, I'm not giving names deliberately because it's like a day of forgiveness. So I'm not giving the names, okay, deliberately. Otherwise, I am very blunt. So, these 7 were dumped in the police station and they were beaten up, tortured and all that. After 40 days, they were asked to go away from the police station. And police brought a second batch of people. These 7 innocents were in jail for 11 years. One of them is mentally challenged. I'll show you. Mentally challenged. It's all cock and bull story. 2 judges transferred, 3rd one signed the verdict. Appeal is pending in the High Court for... What happened? Yeah, this will come. So, that appeal has been pending in the High Court. So, these innocent people were in jail. So, I launched an online campaign, launched it at the Constitution Club with the illiterate voice of these women. Kuldeep Nayar, you see the kind of people that have been with me in this campaign. First we started the online campaign, Justice for those people. Then After that, I got the book called Who Killed Swami Lakshmanananda, released by Kuldeep Nayar and the first batch of killers. No, it's not easy. I tell you, it's in the Constitution Club. The book was released by original killers of Swami who were left out. So the first batch of original killers were we used them to release the book with Kuldeep Nayar and Professor Manoranjan Mohanty and all that. And then that this is the book, Who Killed the Swami. It's in Hindi, Odia, Malayalam and all that. I've been using, the book has been a mission. I mean, many of you know, publishing books in India of your own is losing business. Not for money, I'm losing, but still I do it because that is the way you have made Kandhamal lively before people who care for truth and justice. I know people are very touched by. See, I stop here. You know why? This was released exactly 5 years ago on the 10th anniversary of Kandhamal, Innocence in Prison. You can go to YouTube and find, or you go to my page, or it is on my Facebook. Today I shared it again. It was on this day, 10th anniversary, we launched this the video. And would you believe, on that 10th anniversary, Kuldeep Nayar died. On the 10th anniversary of Kandhamal, who had stood with me like a godfather, kind of sacrifice he had made for me. When I invited him for the release of the book, he said he had come from Udaipur, 93 at the time, 93. And his wife said, no, this is our last family wedding. How can you skip it? He said, no, I will go. And he came. He came and for the release of the book. And I tell you, but for him, Kandhamal would have been buried. Kuldeep Nayar and Swami Agnivesh, they stood, both are gone. I feel sad. It's a day of remembrance. Today is the 5th death anniversary of Kuldeep Nayar. 5th death anniversary of Kuldeep Nayar, who stood with me like a rock and like Swami Agnivesh. Anyway, so we got that online campaign. Then as Christians, what do? Many of you say, we do a lot of things. So there is a Catholic Benedictine doctrine. What is that? Ora et labora. Pray and work. Some of you do a lot of things, but you don't pray. Others do pray a lot, but they don't work. So if you merge both. So I launched an online campaign for the release of the Kandhamal Innocence. A prayer campaign, everything worked. First one man was out. I tell you, this is my Facebook homepage. Deliberately, I don't change it. Why? His wife and son is waiting outside. As he comes out of jail, he embraces me. He falls on my chest, This is the faith journey of my journey to Kandhamal. We got them, finally, all of them got bail from the Supreme Court after 11 years. 11 years. So they were out, and just watch this. He is supposed to kill the Swami. He is a mentally challenged man. His wife says, wo janware khata hai, peeta hai, sota hai. He can't even buy a lungi. He doesn't know the distinction between 5 rupee note and 10 rupee note. He is supposed to have gone 60 kilometers, hacked the Swami's leg with an axe and all that. What a joke. And that appeal is pending in the High Court for 10 years. So that is the system. Anyway, let us forget about that. We got them released. These 7 are out of jail. So I am thrilled, I tell you. We got them out on bail. And then I presented them at the CBCI. These 7 innocents. And then, you know what happens? We do a lot of things, no? Immediately, as soon as they were released, we wanted to get them rehabilitated. I went to Kandhamal, came the COVID. Next 2 years, I was at home doing nothing because I couldn't move. I got family concerns also. Whatever it is I'm saying is, so that was a turning point in my life. So I was sitting idle. Of course, very minimum reporting. And so I was asked to give a Good Friday presentation. So I made a documentary. Everybody liked it. Then I started doing a few in Malayalam. I was sitting at home. Then I ventured to what they call English. So the English I got done. So Innocence Imprisoned I have done in English, it's in Hindi, it's in Odia, it's Malayalam, it's all there. And then we came to these faith ones. So I started with the heroic witness of Kandhamal, then I think rock-like faith of Kandhamal, then what is that? Martyrs of Kandhamal. These are different episodes. Release of 7 innocents and power and prayer. You would be thrilled to hear that, these 7 innocents were beaten up like anything. You watch the documentary. In the jail, they were kicked and punched and they were beaten like anything because everybody thought they were the killers of the Swami. And these fellows would sit together and pray, Father, please forgive them. They do not know what they are doing. Forgive them. And gradually these fellow prisoners got touched by these people, so much so one by one they started attending their prayer meeting. Not only that, whenever somebody fell sick in the Hindu, those in the jailmates, if the Hindus had some problem in the family, they will ask the Christian innocents to pray for them. So much so, one Hindu who had been arrested for the attack on Christians went out from the jail as a Christian. This is the story of Kandhamal. It's all mentioned in the other documentaries. So I did that. And then for this, during that last Holy Week, Easter time, I came out with the right hand of God over Kandhamal. You know the story of Moses, how he stretched out the hand and saved these Israelites from the Egyptian army. Same thing repeated. You see the document is powerful. Today it crossed 2 lakh views. Today, and that is today. 2 lakh views. It's not 2 minutes or 3 minutes, 25 minutes, 24 minutes. So that is the right hand of God over Kandhamal is there. It is very much there. And so we are making what we call, this is that documentary called the right hand of God over Kandhamal. It is very powerful. I'm not playing that. I'm just having you have a feel of it. And then we have this now. This is called the Kandhamal, the living face of God. It is there giving an amazing witness. Christians anywhere in the world will be thrilled. So
the right hand of God over.
So I'm skipping that. Now we are coming. We screen the movie now. This 25 minutes called the Good News of Kandhamal. Can you imagine? All those who attacked Christians are becoming Christians in Kandhamal. Not the Garvapasi, of their own and their witnesses, how this Tamasoma Jyotirgamaya is being literally fulfilled in Kandhamal. So we play the documentary now and then we'll have. So all of you, please watch. Thank you.
Good news of Kandhamal. Truly, truly, I say to you, you'll weep and lament, but the world will rejoice. You will be sorrowful, but your sorrow will turn into joy. This assurance of Jesus, as we read in the Gospel of St. John, chapter 16, verse 20, has been literally fulfilled in the Kandhamal jungles of Odisha state in eastern India. It was 15 years ago, the remote Kandhamal district witnessed the worst organized persecution in 2000 years of Christianity in India. Fetching the obscure jungle tract a place in the annals of history. The idyllic jungles went up in flames following 2008 August Janmashtami night murder of 81-year-old Swami Lakshmanananda Saraswati. Dubbing the murder promptly as Christian conspiracy, Christians were given ultimatum to renounce their faith. Nearly 100 poor and illiterate Christians embraced martyrdom when they were asked to recant their faith, burnt alive, buried alive, chopped into pieces. Thousands of Christians fled to jungles to escape the humiliation of being forced to undergo nauseating reconversion ceremony by burning the Bible, heads tortured and made to drink cow dung water to purify them. The unabated violence left 300 churches destroyed. 6,000 Christian houses looted and plundered, rendering over 56,000 Christians homeless. As peace of graveyard reigned in Kandhamal, apprehension was rampant even in elite Christian circles if the poor Christians in the jungles could withstand the brutal persecution, as they could not return to their native villages even after years. On the 15th anniversary of this persecution, journalist Anto Akkara, who has accompanied and chronicled the amazing witness of Kandhamal Christians, with 35 arduous trips to the remote region, with powerful investigative books and social media campaign for truth and justice, presents Good News of Kandhamal.
What happened in Kandhamal in 2008 was indeed a catastrophe. But 15 years later, would you believe valiant Christians of Kandhamal have transformed this tragedy into a cause for Christians not to mourn but to rejoice?
Despite the brutal persecution amid hostile atmosphere, hardly any Christian has turned his back to Christ in Kandhamal in the last 15 years. On the contrary, even those who brutalized Christians are now flocking to the churches they tried to banish from Kandhamal, including disciples of the slain Swami. Shining faith in Kandhamal.
My initial book on Kandhamal's incredible witness, titled Shining Faith in Kandhamal, was released at the Mission Congress in Mumbai in September 2009 by Major Archbishop Cardinal Verki Vidyathil, the President of Catholic Bishops' Conference of India.
You say they have strong faith, but I feel many of them will go back when they suffer like this.
A church leader told me, "No, I can assure you they will not go back." I told the church leader, emphasizing that no one could assess the depth of Kandhamal's amazing witness without visiting the ground zero of the worst persecution in Indian history.
The sight of shelters like these, built of leaves in forlorn jungle paths of Badawanga, reminded of life in primitive times. Christians sent out from refugee camps, unwilling to forsake their faith, had to undergo untold misery to uphold their faith. The failure of even Christian networks to rush prompt aid for the struggling Christians due to the hostile atmosphere in Kandhamal did not dampen the faith of the penniless Christians. In fact, they kept the flame of faith alive instead of turning despondent when abject poverty haunted them.
I went to Kandhamal with the copies of Shining Faith to share with the valiant Christians. To protect the identity of the witnesses, I had shaded their faces and used anonymous names, but their response stunned me. Glancing through the pages, they were angry at me, then being happy.
Sir, what have you done? Why did you shade and hide our faces? We are not cowards. Show our faces. Even if they kill us, we are not worried.
They preferred to starve and languish in slums, even outside Odisha, than forsaking their faith for a comfortable living in native villages, fulfilling the harsh condition that Jesus has prescribed for discipleship in the Gospel of St. Matthew, chapter 16, verse 24. If any of you want to come with me, you must forget yourself, carry your cross, and follow me. Unconditional forgiveness modeled to the world. Kandhamal's sterling witness has set an amazing model to the Christian world. Even social activists and analysts are baffled, as Kandhamal Christians did not indulge in revenge attack against their tormentors, even in areas with large concentration of Christians, who accounted for 20% of the district's over 600,000 population. Kandhamal persecution has brought to the fore the unconditional forgiveness that Christ has taught. Love your enemies, do good to those who hate you, bless those who curse you, pray for those who mistreat you. If someone slaps you on one cheek, turn to them the other also. Luke chapter 6, verses 27 to 29.
Would you believe that despite over 84,000 named in police complaints, no Christian leader had called for badla or revenge, nor Kandhamal witnessed revenge attack contrary to what is happening in the country. The forgiving response of Kandhamal Christians with a disarming smile have floored the enemy and melted the hearts of the assailants who have apologized to them. During my 35 pilgrimages to Kandhamal, sanctified by the blood of martyrs, I have come across several incidents echoing biblical parallels.
Flower from assailant on New Year Day. Hippolytus Nayak, a retired government official, had a pleasant surprise on the 2012 New Year Day. Lucknow Pradhan, one of the fundamentalist leaders of dreaded Tiangia, where half a dozen Christians had been killed brutally, greeted him with a flower at his door in the morning of the 1st of January.
He apologized to me for what had been done to us. Many of them used to keep away from us, and they used to turn their faces away when they came face to face with us. But they are now interacting with us. There is certainly regret among them for the atrocities they have committed against us,
said Hippolytus, whose house too had been destroyed during the orchestrated anti-Christian violence. Tormentor turns Christian.
We harass them and destroy their houses, but they have no hatred or anger against us,
said Jonas Digal, one of the mobsters who had attacked Christian targets in the violence that rocked Barackama area.
They are still suffering, but they have no complaints and they are living happily. There is certainly something special about how their faith enables them to overcome difficulties. This has brought me here,
said Junos, vouching for it, squatting on the mat with his Bible kept open in front of him in the makeshift church.
Pastor Prabodh Pradhan shared with me his pleasant experience in Raikola village. As in hundreds of other villages, this CNA church was destroyed and the Christians had fled for life to escape reconversion ritual. When he tried to reconstruct his house nearly 2 years later, local Hindus who had even part of the mob that had pulled down his house came forward and apologized to him. They even volunteered to help him in the reconstruction.
They did not forsake Jesus Christ. Rather, they took Jesus along with them wherever they went and witnessed Jesus Christ. So many churches have been blessed and they are functioning right now. They forgave their enemies, they prayed for them, and they made every possible opportunities to have friendship with them. And those enemies were surprised to see this kind of love and acceptance from them.
Such sterling witness inspired me to title the Chronicle of Kandhamal's witness as Early Christians of 21st Century. That was released in February 2013 at Velanganni by Cardinal Fernando Filoni, Prefect of Vatican Congregation for Evangelization of Peoples. Prior to that, I had presented the same manuscript to a reputed international publisher in the US, as suggested my friends there. After going through the manuscript, the editor wrote to me,
Your people are behaving like Jesus, forgiving everyone. Here in the US, many ask, how can you forgive without getting justice? It will be very difficult to market a book like this.
Tamasoma Jyotirgamaya, from darkness emerges light. Kandhamal bears abundant testimony to this popular Buddhist hymn. Even optimists would have been disheartened if they had seen the diabolic devastation heaped on Christian targets in Kandhamal in 2008. The desecration of the church at the Missionaries of Charity Leprosy Home at Sarasananda, devastations at the St. Peter's Church at Bobingia, broken roof and concrete pillars of the new church under construction in Tiangia, besides dozens of others like these at Konjamendi, Mondakia, Mondosur and Nilungia.
but 15 years later, the pervasive sight of black soup in burned institutions, torn and torched houses, and damaged churches have given way to sparkling colors. Look at the amazing contrasting pictures and images heralding hope. Along with the heartwarming sights of renovated houses, distraught and hopeless faces too have turned brighter and cheerful, heralding the good news of Kandhamal.
This burnt face of 9-year-old Namrata Nayak had become mascot of the orchestrated violence heaped on a hapless community, with a crude bomb left behind by assailants disfiguring her face in Raikia. However, symbolizing the Tamasoma Jyotirgamaya turnaround in Kandhamal, Namrata recovered her genial look and has matured into a lovely young woman. This pathetic sight of bleeding Junos Nayak, a retired policeman, being carried and dumped at the Udaigiri Health Center floor would not have enthused hope. Yet, Juno survived miraculously, unlike his elder brother Lalji, who died a day later.
Even after surgeries, doctors at Cuttack Medical College had little hope of saving Juno's right arm, riddled with bullets like this. 15 years later, Junos leads a prayerful life of hope and faith and blesses those who come to him. Isn't it inspiring?
Amazing witness of raped nun.
Wherever I speak on Kandhamal, one repeated question put to me is, how is the raped nun doing? The 28-year-old nun had to undergo worse traumatic experience compared to the one fresh from Manipur in our minds, that stunned the world with the naked parading of two women, including wife of an Indian soldier who fought for the country in the Kargil war.
This nun was raped publicly, with two people standing on her both hands, like being crucified at the burnt Janvigas, the social action center of the Catholic Church in Kandhamal. Then she was paraded semi-naked along the Nuaga Market Road in police presence, with just a piece of her sari on her body, along with bleeding elderly Father Thomas Chellan, director of the Pastoral Center, in his underwear.
The nun displayed amazing courage to address a news conference on October 25th, 2008 in New Delhi, before a crowd of TV cameras, photographers and reporters, narrating her diabolic ordeal to the world, deflating the concerted efforts made to cover it up as a cooked up by the church, by the forces behind the Kandhamal bloodshed.
Embodying the spirit of Kandhamal's valiant Christians who have stood up like rock in their faith amid brutal persecution, the nun is not leading an anonymous, despondent life as many fear. Listen to her.
That torment still pricks me as a thorn in my flesh. On the 15th anniversary of Kandhamal persecution, I recall how I was attacked brutally and raped publicly. I got so many blows while the police remained spectators. I faced death as the assailants were about to cut my head off. But God kept me alive and chose me to be an witness, an inspiration to who are being persecuted. God consoled me in prayer, healed me, purified me, and made me realize the meaning of suffering in my life. God gave me the grace to forgive and confidence to lead a normal life with the full support of the sisters of my congregation of Handmaids of Mary. The Holy Spirit inspired me to pursue an LLB degree during this period and enrolled as a lawyer.
Converts in white clothes for prayer.
During my frequent trips to Kandhamal, I have had incredible encounters with the new communities whose leaders and members who had strived to banish Christianity from Kandhamal and who are now active practitioners of the same faith. The fervent faith of the converts was on display at Labadi village, venue of an evangelical convention of families that had embraced the Christian faith. Though more than 500 people had gathered for the 3-day convention in February 2016, many had dispersed by the time I reached the spot. As the remaining ones were preparing to leave, I pleaded with them to gather for a short prayer to see how they pray. But their response amazed me.
You cannot take our photo like that. Prayer is holy, and when we pray, we must be in white clothes. Please wait. We will change the clothes and come.
Insisted the leader. Soon the women went to nearby house, while men moved behind the trees to change their colorful clothes and put on white clothes. St. Paul's of Kandhamal. A trusted lieutenant of Swami Lakshmanananda for decades, Niladri Kanha embraced the Christian faith in 2005 under the influence of Pastor Pavitra Mohana Kata, who himself had been a disciple of the Swami. Series of deaths in his family drew Pavitra to the Christian fold in 1999.
Both Niladri and Pastor Pavitra were lucky to survive an assault for embracing the Christian faith. But during the bloodshed unleashed by the mysterious murder of the Swami, Niladri was almost killed by his former saffron colleagues, who even poured wooden resin into his eye. That scar was evident 5 months later when I met Niladri first in January 2009. When I traced him months later, he was struggling to pay rent for his slum house in Fulbani town with his wife and children famished. But look at his family in June 2023, cheerful and relaxed. Indeed, through thick and thin, Niladri, whom I have named St. Paul of Kandhamal for his outstanding witness, has remained an inspiration for many fresh entrants to the Christian faith over the years.
Like Niladri, Vijay Kumar Pradhan is also a former disciple of the slain Swami from late 1980s. In 1992, Vijay and his friend Trilochan Pradhan were assigned to shoot a prominent pastor at a Christian convention at Raikia.
Though we had been trained in shooting and given a good gun, the trigger did not work when my friend tried to shoot the preacher. We went to the nearby jungle and tried it on the trees, and it worked. We sensed something wrong, and this experience made us to gradually embrace Christianity.
Recalled Vijay.
Swami used to tell us to destroy churches and banish Christianity. Swami had come here with us and asked us to destroy the church and had laid foundation for a temple to be built here. But now I am the manager of this church. We have over 200 Christians in this church. Several of those who had attacked the churches are now Christians and are spreading the message of the love of Christ.
Standing in front of the new Christ Church at Pisarama, to which he had accompanied the Swami in 1990s.
In fact, several people involved in the Kandhamal violence have confided to me over the years how they were misled into the attacks against the Christians under the false propaganda that the Swami's murder was a Christian conspiracy. A Hindu lawyer even told me frankly,
They have fooled us with this conspiracy theory.
it was prominently flashed when my book, Who Killed Swami Lakshmanananda, was released in Bhubaneswar in September 2016. Amid hundreds of Hindus in Kandhamal acknowledging the true story, the Odia media rewrote the Christian conspiracy script. I chose to end the book with the famous quote from Mahatma Gandhi, the revered father of the nation.
What's obtained by love is retained for all time. What's obtained by hatred proves a burden in reality, for it increases hatred. This Gandhian exhortation holds true beneath the dramatic turnaround in public perception in Kandhamal. Taking over the mantle from Archbishop Raphael Chinath, who had shepherded Kandhamal Catholics for 26 years, Archbishop John Barwa was on a pastoral visit to Kandhamal on the New Year Day of 2012. At the reception accorded to him at Badangi, the tattered kingdom Archbishop Barwa inherited was manifest in the broken roof of convent dispensary behind, as Christians garlanded him enthusiastically. 10 years later, look at the reception Archbishop Barwa received at the St. Paul's Church at Baliguda in May 2022. Colorful traditional dances enthused by buoyant tribal drum beats welcomed Archbishop Barwa to the church.
After I addressed an elite church gathering outside Odisha in early 2022, on Kandhamal's incredible witness, the superior of a formation house invited me to address the 50 nuns and novices in her house. I was thrilled when I went there. Of the 29 novices at this national center, 28 were from Kandhamal.
Indeed, Kandhamal has not been a tragedy. The sorrow of 2008 has been turned into joy by the valiant Christians. Children who underwent nightmares of fleeing for life to jungles, living in refugee camps and slums, have not turned despondent. Instead, dozens of youths are opting to become priests, pastors and nuns, irrespective of denominations.
Kandhamal has become a vibrant vocation garden for the Christian denominations, literally fulfilling the famous dictum of church historian Tertullian. Blood of the martyrs is seed of the church. The valiant Christians of Kandhamal have indeed passed out in flying colors the litmus test of faith prescribed by Gamaliel in the Acts of the Apostles, chapter 5, verses 38 and 39.
Therefore, I advise you, if their purpose or activity is of human origin, it will fail. But if it's from God, you will not be able to stop these men. You'll only find yourselves fighting against God.
After such a beautiful, well-collected documentary film, now may I invite Madam Annie Raja to address us.
इस डॉक्यूमेंट्री के बाद किसी का कोई बोलना एक्चुअली क्या ये थोड़ा ज़्यादा होगा. सबसे पहले मैं आंटो अक्करा को सैल्यूट करती हूँ. कंसिस्टेंटली अकेले इस कंधमाल विक्टिम्स को लेके उनको जस्टिस दिलाने का प्रोसेस में और उनकी जो कहानियाँ, इनका लाइफ एक्सपीरियंस पूरी दुनिया को बताने के लिए आपने जो यात्रा शुरू किया है, और उसमें जैसे आपने बताया बहुत सारे लोग आपके समर्थन में साथ डेफिनेटली था. फिर भी टू कंटिन्यू दैट जर्नी that needs some sort of a conviction, some sort of commitment, some sort of courage, and you had everything, and you are, and all the best, and continue this journey. We are all with you. So ये जो मैं वीडियो देख रही थी तो मुझे भी बहुत सारी याद आ गया था. ये CBCI का एक डेलीगेशन 5 MBs का डेलीगेशन कंधमाल में CBCI ने प्रपोज किया था, भेज रहे थे. तब मुझे भी रिक्वेस्ट किया, मैं MB नहीं थे, मैं आई वॉज नॉट इवन पीपल्स रिप्रेजेंटेटिव. सो मुझे रिक्वेस्ट किया था कि उस डेलीगेशन के साथ जाना है, बिकॉज जो पहली बार कंधमाल में ऐसा वायलेंस हुआ था उस वक्त मैं गई थी उधर. मेरी संगठन नेशनल फेडरेशन ऑफ इंडियन वीमेन की तरफ से हम गए थे, इसलिए CBCI ने तय किया तो आस्क्ड मी टू जॉइन विद देम. सो आई ऑल्सो ट्रैवल विद देम टू भुवनेश्वर. बट भुवनेश्वर में जाके MB सबसे पहले चीफ मिनिस्टर को मिला, और चीफ मिनिस्टर ने बोला नहीं नहीं अभी आप नहीं जा सकती है, क्योंकि उधर सारा रिहैबिलिटेशन वर्क चल रही है, रिलीफ रिहैबिलिटेशन, तो उसमें आप बाधा होगा. इट विल बी disturbance for the relief and rehabilitation works which is going on there in Kandhamal. So they are members of parliament, they will have to listen to the chief minister of the state. So they decided to come back, but then I said, I am representing an organization, a women organization, Kandhamal. Thousands of women and young girls, children, they are in trouble. They need somebody from outside to talk to them, or to create a sort of confidence in them that they are not alone. So I requested, but the chief minister said, no, you cannot go. But I said, I will go. So I requested Bishop Chenath. Actually, it was with his help. He said, early morning, 5 o'clock, you come, the vehicle will be ready. So he gave me a vehicle to travel to Kandhamal, and I was there in the camps, and I have seen the destroyed churches, all these things for the last 15 years. We have seen all those things, but I have witnessed how we have seen that the heads were what we call tonsuring this thing, and women were being forcefully, they were taking the Bajrang Dal or the fascist people, they were pulling the women and taking them to the field, in the paddy field, and converting them into reconversion actually, or the garvapasi करवा रही थी. तो ये तमाम चीज़ें देखा. So I was, when I saw that one lady was dragged by these people, so I suddenly, we stopped our vehicle, and I was just rushing to that lady to save her. Then they came to attack me, and some of our comrades were with us, CPI comrades were with me. So they pulled me and they put me inside the car, and we just left that place. And the second day when we reached, in Delhi, the second day, the then government filed an affidavit in Supreme Court saying that everything is normal in Kandhamal. So I, without any prior appointment, I visited one of the cabinet minister, happened to be from Kerala. then I was so, maybe because of that, I am also from Kerala, with that freedom I was really shouted at him, how can you lie about those people who are still suffering and still tortured by these fascist forces, and you are giving an affidavit to the Supreme Court that everything is fine. So these are all some of the things, and I am happy to inform you that the sister, the nun, her statement, the police could not record her statements in Orissa. That was the fearful state of affairs in Kandhamal or even in Orissa. So I don't know how she reached. I am sure that with the help of the bishop and CBCI and everything. But once she reached here, somehow this news was leaked. इसको अखबार वाले को और मीडिया को पता चल गया. So they started, I think, coming to the CBCI and all. Then I got a call from the CBCI saying that this is what is happening, we need your help. So I went and met her, and I brought her to my home where I am even today staying. And the entire top police officials of Orissa, they came to my home and they recorded her statement. 3 days she was with, the recording was, statement was taken from my home, then 2 days from my NFIW office, and some of the sisters were also there in my office. So now the court, when they send a notice or someone to the sister, it comes to our NFIW office, and from here I am sending it to her. So when she was with me, तो बहुत वो एक तरीके का मैं समझ रही कि मौका भी था कि अपना मन खोलना और क्या रोना, ये to get some sort of a relief. Then she said कि मुझे बहुत इच्छा था, मैं जब स्कूल में था, कि पुलिस में ज्वाइन करना है, पुलिस बनना है, मुझे वही था उनका इच्छा. मगर जब जो पुलिस के साथ, पुलिस भी उनकी अटैक जो उनको परेड कर रही थी, लेके जा रही थी, और उस वक़्त पुलिस भी उन लोगों के साथ दिया, मुझे बचाने के लिए आया नहीं है, ये बोल के वो उसको सोच के उन्होंने बोला कि मेरे साथ जो अटैक किया, आई एम नॉट बोदर्ड अबाउट मच दैट, बट द पुलिस, I never ever expected that they will side with those who are attacking me. So these are all, all those things came to my mind when I saw this. Of course, as you said, globally among the Christian community, it is definitely something something to be proud of. How whether they may be poor people, they may be from backward, they may be attacked, but how they are deeply trusting in Jesus. That is one thing. So आज की ज़माने में हम सब जो बोल रहे हम क्रिश्चियन है करके, हम सब अपने आप पूछने का बात है, क्या are we really following Jesus Christ? ये प्रश्न मैं इसलिए भी रेज कर रहे क्योंकि देखो हम फेथ के बारे में बता सकती है, बातचीत कर सकती है, प्राउड फील कर सकती है, मगर कंधमाल was not a single incident. There is a politics behind that, and that politics, more ugly faces we are witnessing even today, not in any specific place, but all across our country. Even in Delhi, yesterday what happened, we know. So there is a politics. While we are the Christian community, whichever denomination it may be, वो अपना जो faith को definitely strongly पकड़ कर आगे बढ़ने के वक्त, as a citizen of this country, it is our duty to take political positions. Are we with the fascist forces? और आर वी विद द सेकुलर फोर्सेस? तो बोलना में हम सेकुलर है, और जब व्हेन इलेक्शन कम्स, नो इस वक्त हम इनको ये वोट देना, दिस आर ऑल इश्यूज वी नीड टू डिस्कस. एंड जब ईसाई मंच 2014 में व्हेन ईसाई मंच का फॉर्मेशन के बारे में बीजेपी आरएसएस बातें कर रही थी, उस वक्त भी जॉन साहब आपको याद होगा आईएसआई में हमारा फुल दैट हॉल वाज फुल एंड डिस्कशन वाज गोइंग ऑन कि क्या हम ईसाई मंच का पार्ट हो या ना हो. सो सम पीपल से डरे हमारे यदि हम पार्ट नहीं होगा तो फिर हमारी फंड को हम कैसे फंड स्टॉप करेंगी और हम कैसे इंस्टीट्यूशंस चलाएंगे, तमाम चीज़ें आ गया था. तो और देन आई रेस्ड माई, इवन टुडे आई एम रेसिंग दैट क्वेश्चन, कम यदि एनीवन क्लेम्स दैट आई एम ए क्रिश्चियन, then are we following who is our our leading light? That question is, you cannot say strongly that Jesus Christ is our leading light. Then what sort of, when for convenience you will change that and you will forget or keep aside Jesus Christ for some benefit, and you will go and take him back after some time. So that is ये yes बहुत सारे questions इसमें है. तो मुझे ये बताना है कि ये एक larger political issue है और इसमें इतनी साल के बाद भी कंधमाल की sister justice के लिए जो somebody asked that publisher asked or ये पूछा है कि अरे how can they forgive like that without justice? So justice is also, Jesus Christ is worked all through his life for justice. That is what. So justice is also important for the people of this country, for anyone in the for that matter. तो political positions लेना भी और violence के खिलाफ आवाज़ उठाना भी और उसके जो आवाज़ उठाने वाले के पक्ष में खड़ा होना भी, that is also क्या है एक जीसस को फॉलो करने का एक एक्ट है. दिस इज़ एन एक्ट ऑफ फॉलोइंग जीसस. तो यही है. तो हमारे सामने बहुत सारी चैलेंजेस है. हमें as true follower of Jesus, I will tell this to any meeting, whether it is a Christian group's meeting or not. We will have to raise our voice, stand with the people who are standing for justice, and that is the thing. And I thank all of you for having me here. I will have to thank the CBCI and the bishops in Kandhamal as well as Jabua for Bishop Chako when there we visited Jabua area. In Bishop House, we were staying in Bishop House for a few days. Then they accommodated us in the hospital in Jabua to go and meet the affected people and all. So this is it. Let us all stand together. It was a very tough journey for the victims of Kandhamal, because even the church side, how much can we or the church put their hand on the chest and say that we full-heartedly, all-heartedly support the victims of Kandhamal? I don't think initially it was happened that. I salute Father Ajay. It was his what can we say, itna relentless effort for justice. He stood with those victims day in and day out, and he was interacting with every person, so that hoping that everyone will support the victims of the violence, the Kandhamal. So salute to all those people, and of course we can all will have to stand together. Yesterday it was Kandhamal, today it is Manipur, tomorrow something. That is the message we are getting from what happened yesterday in Delhi. So it is time that we all stand together as citizens of this country, so that whether it is Christians or it is Muslims or whether it is Dalits or whether it is communists or whoever may be getting attacked or killed and taken away their human rights and constitutional rights, there we also have the responsibility to raise voice. So I stand here to be with you, to raise my voice for justice of the victims of violence in Kandhamal and all the victims in this country. Thank you very much.
Thank you, ma'am. Church always recognizes your contribution, and we are grateful to you that you are part of our journey. Now, before I invite you all to go out and pay tribute to all our martyrs by lighting a candle, I would like to place something on record that the Federation of Catholic Associations of the Archdiocese of Delhi was asked by Archbishop Anil to take up this particular task and to see that it gets to its logical conclusion. I'm grateful to our President, Mr. A.C. Michael, who is right now with Archbishop, journeying along with him, Vice President Shashi Dharan sir, Madam Anne Samuel is here, our Vice President, General Secretary, myself, Ephraim Jacob, Shelley Smith, the Joint Secretary, and Mr. Joachim Albuque. So these are the office bearers. On behalf of the office bearers, I thank each one of you for being here and showing your solidarity and expressing your gratitude towards the documentary that we have just witnessed. There are books on sale. One book, Hindi book is costing 150 rupees. English book is costing 250 rupees. Please buy one, those who can, and those who are interested. And now, may I invite all of you to go out as we move out, and there is a candle, I think. Am I right? Yeah. So we'll take and go in front of the church, just stand for a few minutes, and then we'll disperse. And there is a tea or snacks are also kept. Please have them. Thank you so much.